Y'all, every now and then, Wizard101 adds spells so useless that they literally never see the light of day. And today we need to talk about a whole group of spells that falls under that category and some brand new information that just came out straight from Wizard101 regarding how they're going to change in a future update. So the topic of today, the push and steal mechanic in Wizard101. Now, very few people probably even interact with these spells on the day-to-day, but there is a mechanic, unlike the other mechanics in this game where you gambit, clear, and counter stuff, where you can push or steal hanging effects. Now, the way these work is very simple. Every school can counter something that they can also leverage. For example, Ice is a school that both counters weaknesses and can use weaknesses to do things like damage and buff, and that's why they can push weaknesses as well. And just to clarify how overpowered this mechanic can be in theory, what I mean by pushing is if you have a weakness on you as an Ice when you cast a spell, the weakness gets pushed over to your opponent and then you hit. You don't experience the debuff of the weakness. Quite similarly, right? Like Splash Squatch. When a Myth casts a Splash Squatch, it steals a shield and then hits. You don't experience the debuff of the shield when you do it. And that's not even counting the pushes and steals that can benefit you, like with dots and hot. You could literally take a fire's dot damage and turn it right back onto them with a push dot. In theory, this mechanic could be ridiculously powerful. What is the issue though? Right now, the push and steal mechanic is worth so many pips that every push and steal spell, with the exception of Snack Attack, which is a shad and it's new, they're all limited to pushing or stealing only one hanging effect at a time. We're looking at spells like Nautilus, Splash Squatch, Camp Bandit, and Angry Snow Pig. They're all really only pushing or stealing one thing. They're basically all very hard to use because it's like a very small hanging effect. Let's say you get double weakness on an Ice. What's the point of pushing one? It doesn't really, this isn't a good weakness count. But specifically, Camp Bandit was brought up in one of the devs that works on this game, Cam Stream. I've linked his channel below if y'all want to catch his info right when it comes out. But what he said about what they're going to be doing to Camp Bandit is kind of crazy. Let's roll the clip.
Camp Bandit.
True.
No one uses that. It's 5 pips. It's too expensive. What?
That one, no, that one will get a buff sooner or later. And it would definitely be in use. What's that one?
Will it shift over 2?
Yeah.
Or just 1?
Yeah,
Oh,
5
2?
pips?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, cool.
it'd shift over 2 and probably do more damage.
Yes, y'all heard that right. They are going to be changing the push and steal mechanic. We don't know when this update is going to make it in a live realm, but when this goes live, this is going to drastically change the way the game is played. Later on in the stream, they went on to clarify how every push and steal mechanic would work, but basically, Camp Bandit, not only will it do more damage, it'll push not 1 but 2 dots onto the opponent. And right now, dots are one of the most intrusive parts of PvP, simply off of the Amoot Fury spell. I feel like we talk about this spell pretty much any video where we're talking about what's wrong with the current meta. Why is this fusion so crazy? Because for a very small 7 pips, you could do a triple dot. You have spells that accelerate dots on a fire that can basically close out games the second someone doesn't respond to the original triple dot. Right now, there are dot clears that work if you go into Storm, but this is a very high accuracy burden. And a lot of people argue that, let's say that you go into the other dot countering school, Life, you should have just as many valid options to deal with someone spamming dots at you. But while Life does have double and triple clears that, you know, can counter dots, the problem is they do so little that if the opponent keeps spamming dots, they don't actually keep up. We're gonna be seeing Life go from the second best school at countering dots out of the 2 schools that can counter dots, and we're gonna see it propelled to the #1 school at countering dots. I think a double dot push spell, what it would simply mean is that if a fire is going against someone that has 2 life pips, they might have to think about how they ought to dual school to deal with the threat of a Camp Bandit, or maybe go a different route altogether. Now, going into Life to counter dots isn't the only thing that's going to be better when it comes to dual schooling. The other numbers that were thrown around are really crazy. Nautilus, which is currently a 5-pip spell that only pushes 1 trap, but it is still a double dot. This is going to be made to push 4 traps onto the opponent. This is going to be a really good way to punish trap stacking in a way that no other fire spell, maybe with the exception of Dragon, can do right now. But we're talking about 1 entire less pip. If you can actually use the traps with the spell, it could be really, really cool. Angry Snow Pigs is going to be countering 3 weaknesses. It's going to push up to 3 weaknesses onto the opponent. It's going to be a much worse move to just weakness spam against an ice. And Splash Squatch, it's going to become 5 pips, apparently, in order to justify this. But instead of stealing 1 shield like it does right now, it's going to be able to steal 3 shield. Now, keep in mind, all of these are within school identity. Like, for example, Myth, right? Splash Squatch steals shields. It is a shield countering school. It also leverages shields in its gameplay, right? These are examples of spells that aren't going to break the school identity that they're building. They're just going to make it matter a lot more when you dual school into something. You're going to get counters that are much more punishing that actually work, especially if you can also leverage the hanging effects you're going to gain by stealing or pushing. Now, I actually just have one real concern with this whole thing. Right now, there are 6 schools that could all each get 1, you know, steal mechanic. I guess balance gets swaps, so I wouldn't count balance under this conversation. And there are 2 major inconsistencies with the way pushes and steals work at the moment. One, yes, Death does also have a steal or push mechanic, but it's only through the form of a shad. While yes, Snack Attack is an incredible 4 steel blading thing, I think this is the only spell right now it's actually using the valuation of the steal mechanic properly, which is why it does so much. While this is really good, I think that it's kind of crazy that Death won't get a lore spell that also steals blades at this magnitude, so you could use your shads for other things while still punishing people by stealing their blade. Y'all might have also noticed, if you add up everything that we've talked about so far, all these lore spells that push and steal, Snack Attack, which is a shad, we're still missing a push and steal mechanic. We still don't have a steal heal spell. Now, steal heal as a concept did used to exist in the form of Snowdrift, but as we said, right, every school can only push or steal one thing based on the way they've logically organized the game. Ice is neither a heal countering school naturally or a heal leveraging school naturally. So a steal heal mechanic, that's why they made Snowdrift no PvP. I think they're just trying to keep some consistency to their game design. But this mechanic should actually belong to the Storm school. That's the only school that can both leverage and counter heals based on their own game design, which also means that if you want the steal heal mechanic, you would go into Storm, right? That would be the logical thing to do. In my opinion, not only do we need a non-shad blade stealing death spell, we also desperately just need the steal heal mechanic as a Storm spell in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, you get 5 schools with this really, really good mechanic that's making all of these spells suddenly usable, and you're gonna have Storm kind of left to dry. It's also just gonna be a lack of a counter to life and healing that's as punishing as every other school is going to experience for the very specific choice of dueling into specific schools. Right, the same way dots are spammed and dot counters don't keep up, I would say a lot of people feel the exact same way about healing. They absolutely should add a steal heal mechanic for Storm when they roll this out. The summer update's around the corner. We could be seeing a new set of lore spells. I think at least the Storm and Death one, quite naturally, they should know what to do with those. I hope they go that route so we have a pretty complete library, especially for schools that want to duel into things for new mechanics like stealing and pushing. But yeah, y'all, I think this is a mechanic that has not been shown a lot of love. I feel like some people don't even bother getting spellments for them or even bother looking or treating these spells like they exist. It's really cool that they're revisiting old mechanics to, you know, just bring the vitality of the spell diversity back into the game. I think it's really exciting. There's a chance that some of these could be too oppressive, but I don't think anything could be as bad as the way the current meta is. I'm just gonna keep it real. So I think any change against the direction of how watered down the meta is could be a good one. That's just my first gut instinct. But as always, we'll have to see. We'll have to keep our minds open. We'll also have to be critical when things don't work. So let me know what you guys think of the push and steal mechanic essentially getting a massive upgrade in some future update, probably the summer update if I had to guess. I look forward to reading all of y'all's thoughts and comments on this. Drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a sub if you're new, and as always, if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome, y'all. See y'all soon, and yeah.